Could you start by giving us a short summary or overview of the type of research you do and what kind of things your initiatives in research?
So my main research is, I'm a neuroscientist. So I'm doing research on the brain. I use a lot of brain measurement methods, brain imaging methods, like electroencephalography, or we also do brain stimulation techniques, electrical stimulation, to modulate brain activity and to see how this modulated brain activity mirrors in change behavior. Or we try to understand how behavior is associated with certain brain function.
Yeah, okay, so the connection between behavior and the activity in the brain, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what sort of research questions do you get? Is this basic research? Or what sort of research questions do you dive into when you're looking at the different areas?
Yeah, so it's partly basic, partly applied, depends on how you define it applied.
A little bit of both is good.
No, so basic research in understanding perception, motor, control, or even in cognitive abilities. The applied part is about aging. So how does it change in aging? And from that we also want to learn about how we can modulate the aging process, how we can interfere with the aging, how we can facilitate plasticity of the brain, learning in older people, so that they can maintain their function.
Yeah. I mean, such a relevant topic and something that I'm sure many people want to know about, want to know more about. So what do you like about the research process the most? What would you say you enjoy? What would you say is maybe the most rewarding part of conducting your research?
Well, it's difficult to say. So it's easier to say what's not so rewarding.
Sure. Whatever angle you want to approach it at.
That is so. The most difficult part is getting grant money for that, writing grant applications. So that's a lot of work, of course. But you are always happy when you get the grants, of course. No, what I mostly like is indeed being in the lab, doing measurements, what I actually don't do much anymore because I have much other things to do. And data analysis is something very interesting to me. So processing data, looking at the data. So many people just do statistics on the data and take the results of statistics and then interpret that. I think you need to understand the data better. So you have to look at that, how they look like. When you look at brain activity, you have different patterns. And if you have some experience with that, your eyes are very good analyzer, even to find statistics in the data. And also to find irregularities in the data. And so it's very important to look at that. And so that's something also that I like and do before I do real data analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. Data is, it's where the magic happens at the end of the day, where we can find potential answers. So I can imagine that being incredibly exciting. What do you use to analyze data? What programs do you use or program?
Oh, there is a couple of tools that we have. So there are programs like Brain Voyager, for example. So this is software to look at brain imaging data, to present that, illustrate that in 3D brain pictures, brain representations. Then we use statistics programs, of course. Usually I do it now with R. Previously I did it SPSS, of course, everybody, but now I train myself using R because it's free.
Yeah.
I think every student should learn R instead of SPSS, or better learn statistics and not a certain tool.
Good to know, because I'm in R right now, and I chose R instead of SPSS as crossing my fingers, thinking, okay, I think this is the way to move forward in psychology. So,
and then of course you have some tools to prepare the experiments, so program experiments.
Sure. Yeah. Different functions, different programs.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, what are the typical tasks that you would assign to an undergrad student that was working for you on your research?
Mm-hmm. You can understand that's very advanced methods that we apply.
Yes,
so
of course.
it's difficult to have a student doing this type of research on her or his own.
Yeah.
That's not possible. So typically students participate in our experiments or ongoing experiments.
As subjects?
They assist with that, they support our graduate students or PhD students in doing that. Doing the experiments or even with data preparation, data analysis, recruiting participants, and so on.
Like project management type stuff. This very much supports people being able to do all the other type of work.
Yes.
So, would you say that practically speaking, for the role that an undergrad student could even assume, would it be in their best interest to join one of your research efforts to assist with organization and program management, and then they learn potentially by observing, or they have the chance to understand the process just by being there, even if they're not able to run experiments and analyze data, or if they're not familiar with the software, if they're not familiar even with the complex science of it?
Yeah, so if it's about program or project management, of course, it is something you can learn from the first day somehow. That's the same for any kind of experimental study. But if you want to learn more about the experiments themselves, the techniques, probably the best starting point are my courses in the second year. So there are the neuroscience courses, including methods courses. So this is probably a very good starting point to get in contact directly with the experiments, to understand the experiments, and probably do own experiments for bachelor thesis later. That's of course also possible.
Yeah. So timing wise, after the second year or during the second year would be an optimal time to really apply the knowledge learned from classes potentially to one of the research projects available to undergrads.
Yeah, of course there are different aspects. So as I said, we need support in project management. That's something everybody can do. Probably we need support in programming. So also CS students might be interested. Support in data analysis. Everybody with some knowledge in data handling is welcome here. And then the support in the experiments themselves.
Okay, great. So, in regard, just some sort of rote questions about how would you prefer to be contacted if a student was interested in joining your research group? What are the prerequisites or requirements that you look for in a student that is interested in joining your research group, if there's spaces available?
Yeah, of course, most students get recruited through my courses. Okay. So then you learn to know them, and you know what they are interested in, or if they are interested in the topics so far, and that of course is the best starting point, and then they can contact me anytime. So I'm open to emails, to personal contacts. They can come to my office, or ask my students as well. So a lot of undergrads contact my graduate students, and
okay, great.
Come into contact.
So so anybody on your team, anyone you're supervising, and then the biggest takeaway is take your courses. If you can. I mean, it's easy for psych students to say that, but maybe there's room for students who might be interested in the neuroscience application or intersections between their field.
Yeah, I have a lot of biology students, even CS students in my classes.
Big overlaps there. another sort of separate question, but I'm interested in hearing from you. What do you think is the future of psychology and neuroscience research at Jacobs with our new partnership and, being as judicious as you care to be, of course, what do you think that we can safely be excited about in diversity and in psychology?
Yeah, I think there are several points here. So, keywords put forward by Sergei Belousov were big data or artificial intelligence. So big data, yes, our data are big data, brain data. So we use a lot of computational methods to analyze this data, to understand this data. So that would be something. Also, understanding the brain is prerequisite to build artificial intelligence and to understand what probably could artificial intelligence better than natural intelligence. I'm very, very sure that it's not wise to think that AI could do everything that humans could do. There are tasks that humans could be much better. If we don't want computers to do that. So, yes, to separate that. And the third aspect also mentioned is aging. So that's actually my topic. So what can we do here? So aging is not a disease. Aging is lifelong development, and it can be positive and negative, and we can support positive aging. Yeah,
that's such a great way to put it. I love that statement. What do you think, since you bring up AI and we're, rightly so going to be sort of this tech-heavy institution, what do you think are the ethical concerns with AI that we should be asking ourselves right now, particularly as it pertains to brain and behavior?
Yeah. As said, so we need to think about what we expect from AI. So where should it help us? So of course there are computational heavy tasks where computers can assist, and they do already. And of course they are much faster and better there. But we need to see also areas where interactions between humans are done. That's difficult. Although there are people here at the university doing research on that to develop computers or robots that show emotions, understand emotions, can interact with humans. And somehow this distance gets smaller between humans and robots, and there's more and more overlap. But what are ethical constraints? I don't know, but I'm always happy to discuss that.
Yeah. I just thought it would be, this is an interesting side note to, it's something that part of some research that I've been doing, not my own research, but educating myself on research being done in terms of existential risk initiatives and future risk initiatives and these different buckets and categories. And one of the big ones is AI. So I've been reading a lot of stuff recently on how do we think about the future of AI, particularly in the framework of the survival of our species on the planet. So I think that's just an interesting intersection to just have conversations about. So
another interesting question is, of course, virtual reality. So the direct interaction of humans and machines, human-machine interfaces also plays a role. Think about people with severe injuries of their body. Probably only the head, the brain is functional. So can you transplant heads to other bodies or machines?
Yeah.
That are interesting questions that will come up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have Prof funding to build a VR lab on campus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. One of the students is doing it as his third year thesis, but it's going to be set up to, function as a club and a lab for the university.
Okay, and who is involved from faculty? Or is there no one involved?
I don't know who's involved from faculty because it's been mentioned in the meetings, but I can't remember, I can't recall at the time. The student's name is Nicholas. What's his major? He's a CS major.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be someone
Okay,
in CS, yeah. Because he's building the computer himself from parts.
Interesting, because we also do VR experiments. So here the
Do
question
you have
is,
them set up in Lab 3?
no, not here. We cooperate with the University of Bremen.
Oh,
and
okay.
did it there, so we borrowed it. So actually it's here, but we have to give it back.
Oh, okay.
So the question here is how virtual tools or objects are integrated in our own body schema when we use it.
Yeah, and so you observe the brain while people are interacting in the VR context to see. Okay, interesting. Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to mention about research, undergrad stuff?
No, I said only if you're interested, just join me, send me notes. We get in contact and then we will see what we can do.
Yeah, and during registration time, always check to see which classes you're instructing that semester and maybe even if they could audit it.
Yeah, for sure. So the lectures can be audited, that's no problem. The methods course is a bit difficult because space is restricted, places are restricted, because our labs are only small and we can only host very few people.
Sure. Okay, but the other courses generally have space for auditing options or for credit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.